Everybody. Hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. What's going on? I'm gonna give you guys a chance to kind of come in and hang out with me tonight. I decided to go live a little bit late tonight, mainly because I love the fact that the internet is a 24-hour kind of thing, and that there's always some weirdo like me, some weird black person out there who's up late at night looking for something interesting to talk about. Um, I'll tell you, I had an interesting day today. Today is Halloween. If you're watching this right now, watching it super live, you'll know that people were just now trick or treating, and it was real. It was on. It was fun. I hope your kids got a whole lot of candy, but just don't be having them eating all that candy because you got some little fat ass kids, and then I'll get to make fun of you. I'm okay with fat shaming because I used to fat shame myself. So if I can fat shame myself, then I can fat shame you and your fat little kid. I'm kidding. I'm joking. I would never fat shame your child. That is not who I am. I am not that kind of person, and I want to see your child healthy and happy and everything else. But truth be told, all that sugar really does kind of get us as black people. I think about my beloved Aunt Debbie. My Aunt Debbie is in heaven right now. And I remember my Aunt Debbie used to check this out. My Aunt Debbie, back in the day, back when I was little, she used to make the best Kool-Aid. The Kool-Aid was like the best ever. And the way she made it good was easy. Just, she just would dump like a pound of sugar into into the picture. And so as a result, like it was like as a kid, it was like, oh, this is great. This is better than what we have at home because at home it takes tart. It don't have no sugar in it. Well, my Debbie, I remember she was overweight. I think she had diabetes. I'm not sure, and she wasn't that old. I thought she was old because she was my auntie, but I think she was like maybe 21, 22. And eventually, lupus took her out. And I can't help but wonder sometimes. Sometimes I wonder if the lupus was affected by the kind of food that was being consumed. I know lupus is a terrible disease, so if you have any loved ones who are suffering from it, my heart goes out to you and your family. So yeah, so my Aunt Debbie was cool though. My favorite aunt, she's in heaven now, along with my cousin Monique. I had a cousin Monique who was 2 years old, and Monique had her mama had a boyfriend named Quentin, and I remember Quentin was this big scary guy, and I remember Monique's older brother, who was about 5 years old, was really scared of Quentin. And I remember that they came to our house, and I remember that she had a bump on her head, and we were wondering why she had a bump on her head. I remember the bump on her head, and nobody knew. Nobody knew that despite what the family was aware of, or the little Monique was getting beaten up by this man, her mother's boyfriend. And then I think 2 days later, Monique was dead. 2 days later, she was dead. And ever since that time, it was a long time ago. I'm talking about 30 some years ago. Ever since that time, we've had so much, sadness every time we think about it because we were right there. Like we were right there on that motherfucker. And I'll tell you, my daddy was a cop. And if he had known, I think if he'd even really strongly suspected something was going on, he would have hurt that man. That man wouldn't be breathing right now. And it was kind of interesting, because when me and my dad talked about it, it was kind of like, man, we saw it, like we saw the lump on her head, and we had gotten a different story, and we wish we could go back in time to that moment. We all remember that day very well. So I think that what that does, I think it affected my dad because I know he used to work in the crimes against children division with the police, and I know he was very sensitive to anybody that would hurt a child. Like you hurt a child, we will hurt you. You hurt a child, we will hurt you. And also it makes me sensitive to, just letting people know in general, when you don't have those two parents in the house, the father, the protector, it does mean something. We might think like, oh, it doesn't matter. We don't need men anymore. Children don't need fathers anymore. That's the nonsense that you get taught in media and whatever. But kids need fathers. Kids need fathers just like they need mothers. It would be absurd. I'd probably look like a complete idiot if I was to ever say that a child doesn't need their mother. Like, come on, give me a break. Are you serious? But there are people who literally will say a child doesn't need their father, and I don't think that's true. I think that's unfair. And what one thing that several cops have told me this. they said that it's almost like out of a textbook. Like they said that a lot of the reason, a lot of young girls who get molested by the R. Kelly types or that uncle or whatever, a lot of those guys wouldn't do it. A lot of those guys are wimps, and they wouldn't do it if there was a father protecting that little girl. A lot of times the reason they can molest your daughter or your son, even some of them are molesting sons now, the reason they can get away with it a lot of times is because they don't have anything to be afraid of. You know, your daughter's home by herself. She ain't got no money. She want to date a baller. She thinks she's grown. She's 13. Next thing you know, she's getting impregnated by a 27-year-old. Happens all the time, all throughout Chicago. And I would suspect that if they have a strong father in the household, the probability drops significantly. So let go of the nonsense in terms of believing fathers don't matter. Fathers do matter. It can make a difference in life and death with your kids. So ladies, if you have a baby with a man, try to take your time to get to know that man. Make sure he's a good man. Make sure he at least, even if he can't, y'all can't keep a marriage together, at least make sure he's a person that just believes fundamentally that it's important to take care of your kids and to be involved with your kids. You know, I think that goes a long way. But anyway, that's today's public service announcement. I did not plan that at all. It just came out. And y'all know me, I just speak freely and share what comes to mind. Do me a favor as we get started. If you're on YouTube, take a second, please hit the thumbs up button real quick. I see Sean Myers is in here. What's up, Sean and Earl Davis and Jason, Fran, 77 Abel, and Joy, J Cage, Sent Doubt It. I can't pronounce all these names. Y'all's names are crazy. Alonzo Hall, Rebel Heartbreak, Ashley. What's going on? Okay, so Ashley's asking about the Hillary Clinton thing. So let me go ahead and jump into this. So the thing that came to my attention today was I was looking around and I just kind of checked the news to see what's going on in the world, and I saw an article at the Grio, and the Grio seems to be a decent media publication. I think Byron Allen bought the Grio, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he still owns the Grio. The Grio, I think it's changed hands a bunch of times. I knew one of the original owners, a brother in New York. I can't remember his name right now, but he was a good guy. I talked to him a couple times. David something. David, don't remember his last name, but David, was a good guy. And now it's owned by a person I think is a good guy. I don't know him, I've never met him, but Byron Allen, I know he's rich. He's a rich guy. He got that paper. So anyway, Byron owns the Grio, and the Grio, seems to be a decent publication. The Root is questionable, right? Because the Root, is owned by white people pretty much. They just happen to be white people who speak Spanish, but they're still white. And, so you got to question the agenda with the Root. But with the Grio, I haven't seen any weird issues. And they reported this story that's pretty good and are pretty interesting. And basically they said that Hillary Clinton kind of made a joke about black people all looking alike. And so according to the Grio, they said, they start off by saying, "Oh, Hillary, we're all rooting for you." Well, I'm not really rooting for Hillary. I'm rooting for black people. And if Hillary helps black people, then I'll root for Hillary. But I'm not going to root for Hillary just because she's Hillary. Like, we got to let go of the whole mammy mentality. I know she's your mammy and you loves her, and she fed you the good pork chops on the plantation. But she ain't black. Neither is Bill. So anyway, we were all rooting for you, but after a bad joke saying all blacks look alike from the former Secretary of State, but after a bad joke from the former Secretary of State drew criticism by her distasteful attempt to get in a laugh. Okay, I think that's a bad sentence. I got to look at that again. Anyway, Clinton was caught up in a moment during an interview with Kara Swisher of Recode. I have no idea who Kara Swisher is. I have no idea what Recode is. I'm going to just pop her name in Google to see who Kara Swisher is. I think Kara Swisher is black. They always get the black people to interview the like cool white liberals. Okay, Kara Swisher is not black. She is white. She's an American technology business journalist and co-founder of Recode. Okay, all right, so she's white. She looks white. She may be like just super high yellow or something. I don't know. Anyway, Clinton was caught up in a moment in an interview with Kara Swisher of Recode. Swisher, in fact, misquoted Cory Booker for saying something Eric Holder actually said. Quote, "What do you think of Cory Booker saying kick him in the shins?" Essentially, Swisher said, as said to Clinton, to which she replied with the correction, "Well, that was Eric Holder." So Hillary Clinton, when she was asked by this lady that I don't know, Kara Swisher, about kicking them in the shins, I guess talking about political strategy, like just kick them hard, go hard. Hillary Clinton came back and said, "Well, actually, that was Eric Holder," and then Swisher said, "Oh, sorry, Eric Holder," which it's kind of bad that you're a journalist and you didn't know, you got your quotes messed up. Like, seemed like you would have prepared in advance, but it's okay. People make mistakes. So she connected, or so Swisher said, "Eric Holder, sorry," and then Clinton made a joke. Clinton said, I know they all look alike. Ha ha ha. Right. So everybody kind of laughed, I guess. Maybe it was like nervous laughter, like, wait a minute, oh my gosh, it's funny, but I don't know if I'm allowed to laugh, especially if I'm white, because I don't know if it's offensive or not. And everybody gets offended about everything that everybody says all the time. So I don't know what. So anyway, a few people probably chuckled. And then Swisher came right back and said, no, they don't. Okay, so Swisher's like, no, girl, you can't say that. Like, this ain't right. Okay, okay. So Clinton and Swisher were talking about political correctness when Clinton made the political correctness mistake. Before she made the quip, she told Swisher, quote, what's often called political correctness is politeness and not being rude and insulting people, right? So Hillary Clinton just made a statement about how, political correctness is actually politeness. It's not being rude, it's not insulting people. And she also said it's, quote, respecting the diversity that we have in our society. And so, of course, they hit her pretty hard and said, like you were just hypocritical, because you said something that's in contradiction to the other thing you just said. You just said political correctness is right because it's politeness, but then you were impolite because you made this joke about all black people looking alike. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to think about the joke. That is what it is, right? Some of y'all, if you were there, you probably laugh. You'd be like, oh yeah, that's right. Because I mean, you have to make a joke like that. You have to have a certain degree of comfort and communicated through your sarcasm. Like you're being sarcastic and making fun of the racist people in our society who really do think black people look alike. Clearly, Hillary showed that in her mind, all black people do not look alike, because she knew the difference between Cory Booker and Eric Holder, which is a pretty big difference. One of them is an experienced politician who actually did quite a bit. The other one's just some dude who's trying to be just like Barack Obama, wearing the same damn clothes and all that. He's taking advantage. He takes advantage of colorism, because if Cory Booker, Barack Obama, and Eric Holder were all as dark as Wesley Snipes, not one of them would be in the position they're in. They would not let Wesley Snipes in the Senate. They would not let a Wesley Snipes look-alike in the Attorney General's office, and they sure as hell would not let a Wesley Snipes look-alike into the White House. Dark-skinned black people still make white people nervous. In their minds, they're thinking about criminals, things like that. The high yellow folks, unfortunately, no disrespect to them, because there's a whole lot of hardcore gangster, hardworking, forward-thinking, light-skinned black people out here. Michi X, Sean King, a lot. Even Colin Kaepernick to a point. Colin is not as ferocious as these other people I mentioned. Like Sean King will get in some shit. He'll fight you for black people, and I respect that. Michi X will fight you for black people. I respect that. Colin Kaepernick will sell you like some Nike sneakers or sell you his latest product, right? And then he'll kind of retweet some stuff and kind of subtly, make some statements that aren't going to offend his white benefactors. So I'm not as much. I like Colin for what he stands up for. I liked his protest, but I think that with the Kaepernick situation, my question became, so what's the follow-up? Like, what's the result? What's the objective? What's the goal? What has occurred, as a result of the protests, other than, awareness? Okay, we got on a knee. We let people know that they're killing black people in the street. Okay, that's cool. But I'd be curious to know, now that you've got all this political capital and you've got some economic capital, you've got Nike investing millions of dollars in your brand worldwide. What's being done with that? Power that isn't being used is might as well not be power at all, right? Doesn't matter. If I am as strong as a bull and I can charge through a wall and bust through that wall because I'm so big and I'm so strong, but I am afraid to run at the wall, then I might as well be a mosquito. Does that make sense, right? If it doesn't matter how much power I have. If I'm Colin Kaepernick and I can change the world with the snap of my finger, I can make a phone call to whoever, to a governor, president, whatever, and draw attention to major issues, mass incarceration, whatever, and I'm not doing that, then what good am I? Now, again, though, there's the argument as well with Kaepernick that, he's got his lawsuits, he's trying to get his money, he's trying to protect his Nike deal. That's all good. And if that's the case, then I think it's kind of like either shit or get off the pot. So you're sitting on the pot, but you ain't shitting. You're sitting on the throne, but you're not being king so much. You're just sort of being a supermodel. You're looking good on the throne as opposed to actually executing executive orders with that throne, with that power that's been given to you, right? So I'm going to just go ahead and jump out there and be the guy who says that I would like to see more out of Colin Kaepernick. Like, for example, I think he could do a lot just by really vehemently and vocally supporting LeBron James's documentary on the mass exploitation of college athletes that he's putting out, which I thought was a courageous move on behalf of LeBron to draw attention to the fact that the NCAA steals about $1 billion a year from Black people. That's one of probably about 50 different ways of stealing money from you on a daily basis. So anyway, with that being said, with the Hillary thing, I think that Hillary's comment, her joke about, well, we know they all look alike, ha ha ha. If I were sitting with her, I'd probably laugh. I'd probably say, yeah, that's funny. I'd probably giggle, right? Because I know, common sense says that she's really making fun of racist people. She's really making fun of the people that think that way. Hillary does not think that way. That's not her flaw, right? Hillary has some flaws. That's not the flaw that I would point out. Hillary's flaw goes back to the super predators comment in the 1990s that led to the mass incarceration and extermination of hundreds of thousands of Black families. That's Hillary's flaw. That's Hillary's shit. That's Hillary's, one of her many demons. That's probably the number one demon as far as Black people go. And they haven't fixed that. They haven't corrected that demon, because not one time has Hillary and Bill, they've apologized for what happened, right? Because they were trying to get Black votes, just like the same way a frat boy apologizes when he's going to see a girl that he ain't called in 4 weeks, but he's calling her, he's apologizing because he's trying to get some ass on a Friday night. He's not apologizing because he's truly sorry, right? So Hillary was apologizing because she needed something from Black people. She needed Black people's support. And the truth of the matter, though, is that apology, true reconciliation, is a lot tougher than just a bunch of words. They were hoping they could get away with words and symbolism, because unfortunately there are still a lot of Black voters who are not sophisticated, and they will go for substance, for flash over substance. They'll go for something that sounds good as opposed to something that really is good. So, they'll go for something that looks nice as opposed to something that's really beneficial. So they were hoping that they were like, look, maybe we can just tell Black people we're sorry, acknowledge them, acknowledge their pain, and they're going to just act like it never happened. And that doesn't work in a world where you still have these people that are still locked up, right? They're still alive. They're still in prison. They haven't gone anywhere. They did, they did. Most of them didn't die. Their families are still divided. Their babies are still crying, themselves to sleep. Their mama ain't seen them since the 90s, whatever. So if you're really sorry, then you would go fix it, right? If you're really sorry about something, then you would truly feel remorse, and you would use every ounce of power that you have, all your millions of dollars, all your political connects, to make this your number one issue. Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, if they were really sorry about mass incarceration, they would have become the ultimate activists on the mass incarceration issue. The biggest activists that you've ever seen, lobbying their corporate friends, reaching out to people that they know, their political connects, calling every governor in every state, using their big names and their political capital to get everybody on the phone who can make adjustments, going state by state by state with a passionate determination to fix this horrible issue, to fix the fact that for many Black people in their minds, for intelligent Black people, not all Black people, for intelligent Black people, you are almost like an Adolf Hitler, because you destroyed the entire Black community by incarcerating more Black fathers than the KKK ever could. The KKK did not have the power to lock away and kill as many Black men as Bill Clinton did with the stroke of a pen. Okay, so if you really were serious, you would be as passionate as that Negro, that house Negro they had. I forgot his name. There was a house Negro who didn't believe in affirmative action. So you know what this Negro did? He literally went state by state by state and got it on the ballot to get people to vote affirmative action down. I forgot his name. He's literally like the biggest Uncle Ruckus Negro you ever met. And so this Uncle Ruckus dude, literally, like, because he was so passionate about fighting affirmative action, he went state by state by state to get the laws changed in each state. He's like, okay, we're going to do it in Alaska. Now we're going to do California. Now we're going to do Washington. Now we're going to do, Nevada, right? And so if Hillary and Bill were really sorry about what they did to Black people, they would go state by state by state saying, we are determined to change the mass incarceration laws in this state. We can't do federal yet because Donald Trump's in the White House. It's going to be a big fight. But in this state, we got a Democratic, Senate, or we got a governor that we can work with, and we're going to go, or even a Republican. Remember, these people all know each other, right? A lot of these people went to the same schools. It's like, yeah, I'm Democrat. Yeah, you're Republican. But, they all went to Yale together, right? So they can call their Republican friends too and get things from them. All they got to do is do quid pro quo, offer them something like, we'll get you, $1 million in funding for this big project if you will help us fix this incarceration bill. The reason they haven't done it His name was Ward Connerly. That was his name. That was that Negro's name. That man was just ridiculous. But anyway, but they haven't done that, right? So it's almost like when I tell my daughters, I say, look, a man is always going to apologize if he can get something out of you. If he thinks he can get some more ass and you're going to just believe his words and not his actions, then you the fool. You the one giving away the best that you got for nothing, right? He's going to keep on doing that. He's going to keep giving you words because talk is cheap. Why do they say that talk is cheap? Talk is cheap because it costs nothing. Things that are cheap usually don't cost anything. So me saying I'm going to do something for you is very easy because I can literally tell everybody that's watching me on this live stream right now, I'm gonna mail $1 million to your house tomorrow, right? So if I tell you I'm gonna mail $1 million to your house tomorrow and you give me something in exchange for that, something of value, then then you boo-boo the fool. So basically, I tell them, I say, look, a guy's going to say this and say that, but you got to look at his actions. If he's really remorseful, then see what he does to make it right. If he ain't willing to do nothing to back up his words, that means he's lying to you. That means he's playing you. That means he's going to continue to be the same person he was, when he did that horrible thing to you in the past. So with Hillary Clinton, her joke about, all black people looking alike, I don't think that the joke was that terrible, honestly, because I think she was making fun of the people who really think that way. I think that what it also implied is that she has a level of comfort with black people that is not appropriate for this day and age. I think that there are a lot of black people who have woken up. There are a lot of black people who ain't falling for the okie doke. They no longer believe that Bill Clinton was the first black president. They're not just cool with Hillary. You can't just come up in there and just say whatever you want just because you sat in church and ate barbecue chicken with the pastor, right? Those days are gone. This is not 1994 anymore. So I think that Hillary's level of comfort, it works for the black bougie class. Like when she was sitting with Roland Martin and Roland Martin was teaching how to do the wobble. Y'all remember that? When Roland was like, here, Miss Hillary, here's how you do the wobble, right? And I'm glad Tariq Nasheed kind of ate him up for that because Roland's a great journalist, but you don't do that. You're sitting there and you're having the opportunity to have an important negotiation with a powerful person. You don't teach them how to dance. Like that's just something that that's what you do maybe in 1802 if you're trying to get Massa to give you an extra bucket of chicken, but you don't do that in 2016, whatever, when you're talking about giving away literally $1 billion worth of black political capital, probably $10 billion worth of political capital to a political party that is known for doing nothing for black people, right? You have to challenge them when you're sitting at that table. It's not just a photo op. It's not just a chance to just have swag and say, look at me, I'm sitting next to Hillary, or look at me, I'm sitting next to Barack. That was a problem. We get so caught up in the swag factor. Swag don't mean shit. Swag does not pay bills. Swag does not feed your baby. Swag does not protect your community. But we get caught up in the swag factor where we end up, you had Negroes sitting there next to Barack Obama taking photo ops and doing nothing politically, literally doing nothing, just literally sitting there smiling, yes, Mr. President, you're so wonderful, Mr. President. Looking as dumb as Kanye West was sitting there with Trump, talking about selling sneakers and redesigning Air Force One or whatever crap he was talking about. Now he's saying he regrets it and he was being used. Well, no, duh, motherfucker, of course you were being used. I mean, that's what politics is. People use you. You're supposed to use them back. You didn't know to use them back. So now you're feeling kind of silly right now. So ultimately, the same thing was true with people that were sitting with Barack, just trying to get a photo op. They looked as crazy as that guy. I don't know if y'all remember, there was a guy, check this out, there was a guy who was dating LeBron's mama. Like apparently LeBron's mama likes to get around. She likes those young boys. She's a cougar. So there was some young dude, wannabe rapper, like a broke ass rapper. Like that's really rare. It's really rare that in the black community to find a 40-year-old rapper. Those are you never see that, do you? Anyway, so this guy's like some 40-year-old rapper trying to get a record deal, and literally this Negro was taking selfies in front of like LeBron's private jet, like swagged out in front of his private. We didn't own the jet, right? Was like taking selfies in front of his his Porsche, his Jaguar with luxury cars and stuff, or his yacht. And pretending that it was his. And that is, and what's unfortunate is that we have grown ass people who do things like that. And they think that that's really success. They think that pretending to be successful is the same as being successful. And so you have a commitment to flash over substance. Well, that translates into almost every arena. It translates into the political arena, where you have people that will rather have a photo op with the president than actually challenge the president and risk the president's people getting pissed off at you for actually standing up for Black people. It translates to school, even down, it trickles down to the children, where the children are taught to care more about how you dress, what kind of clothes you got, and all that, or how cool you are, than whether or not you can read. I mean, think about this. You have little kids who cannot read, who are not at all ashamed of the fact that they can't read. They will be more ashamed about not having the latest iPhone or not being able to recite Nicki Minaj lyrics than they are about the fact that they can't read, can't write, can't do math, and not prepared for the world. They're going to end up broke, homeless, looking crazy, right? So basically, at the end of the day, I think that all of us have to kind of think about this, like pay attention to this and call it out when you see it, because this commitment to flash over substance causes you tremendous political damage. Now, here's another thing that was interesting about the Clinton interview. I'll mention that in 1 second. If you're on YouTube, please take 1 second, hit that thumbs up button so that people can see this video. Also, if you're on Facebook or anywhere, please share this to your Facebook feed. Also, if you want to, I want to tell you guys about this. We're trying to build Black media all throughout the world, and so we created an organization called the League of Intelligent Black People, which is basically a place where you get a bunch of free stuff. And in exchange for that, we ask you to support the channel. You can support for as little as $5 a month. But if you really like what you see and you really want more free stuff, you can support at any level that you want. So if you got it like that and you want to do $50, $100, $200, $500 a month, we love that too, because we use this money. It goes right back into the Black community. It's not like Walmart or Kmart or Target or Nike, where they're going to take your money and they're going to spend it somewhere else. This money goes right back into the Black community. We are building schools. We are buying real estate. We are making moves. We are hiring people. We are doing all kinds of things. So if you'd like to join the League of Intelligent Black People to help us build Black media, you can go to intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. In fact, if you're in the League of Intelligent Black People, periodically I'll reach out and ask you guys to tell me what topics you'd like to see me cover in a video or any questions you may have, and I will answer those questions. And so the URL, somebody please type it in. It's intelligentblackpeople.com. And I want to give a shout out to my homeboys. I see a couple people in here that I know in the thread. If I don't mention your name, don't think I'm being disrespectful. I just see what I see. But I see my friend Buster, who is actually a brilliant scholar at a university in Illinois. I'm not going to name the school because I don't want to mention it without his permission, but he's a brilliant scholar. He's a great Black man, and he's a man that deserves a tremendous amount of respect. And one day, if he sends me a note, send me a note, Buster, and I can tell him more about you. But I like to protect my friends. I don't tell more than they want me to tell. But Buster's a bad dude. He's been through it. He's fought through it. He's extraordinary what he does. And it's an honor to have you in here tonight, Buster. Okay, so anyway, so let's jump back into the Hillary Clinton conversation. Okay, so here's the thing. Let me read more of this article. So in this article, they say, check this out. So then they asked Hillary a really uncomfortable question. The question that I knew were going to come. I knew she knew these questions were going to come, and these questions are coming right out of the Democratic establishment, which is really fascinating. They were asking her about the Me Too movement, right? Because look, here's the thing. We know how the Me Too movement, kind of operates, right? Starts off with this wonderful idea that, hey, we need to make sure we hold sexual assaulters and sexual harassers accountable for their behavior. People who commit sexual misconduct, rape, things like that, got to deal with their asses, right? No question. Everybody agrees on that. But then it became like a little bit like a witch hunt, where suddenly, basically men became potential predators just by virtue of the fact that you have a penis, like just by the virtue of the fact that you're having sex, like all sex acts initiated by men suddenly became borderline sexual assault. If you were having sex with a coworker, even if the coworker hits on you and says, "Hey, I want it, bring it over, Big Daddy," and y'all have sex, which is what human beings do, by the way. Everybody on here, there's probably 20, 30,000 people that'll watch this video by the time it's done. All these people exist because somebody was having sex. So I don't know when we decided that fucking would be illegal, but we decided that somehow. And so even if the sex is consensual and initiated by two consenting adults, they treat that like it's like it's misconduct, harassment, assault, all these terms, rape culture, like all these terms they make up to try to indict every man, even the men who would never assault a woman. They say, well, yeah, you didn't rape a woman, but you're a man, and you said something that upset a woman at some point, so therefore you contributed to the rape of other women. Like it's really getting like kind of crazy. And I think that honestly, it's going to hurt them eventually, because I think a lot of people are now scared. A lot of people are scared. I've told Black women, make sure your sons know how to start a business so that they have the option of getting out of corporate America. Because if he gets in there and he's young and he's a young man, he's 25, he's good looking, the girls are all looking at him, trying to hit on him. Anybody can misconstrue things that happen. Things happen. People do have sex. They're always going to do it. Because again, sex is the key to the existence of all human life. So it's very fundamental to who we are as human beings. And men have sexual urges and instincts, and they act on those. We've always, for 10 million years, looked at the man as the aggressor and the initiator when it comes to dating and all this other stuff, right? And so I've had conversations. There was one young guy I mentor, and we see the girls looking at him. He's 15. He's tall, he's good looking, like his daddy was 6 foot something, and he's 6 foot something, and he's, and all the girl, everywhere he goes, every single Black girl in the area has a crush on him, and half the white girls do. We'll go see him, we would see him at school, and we see all the girls looking at him, and I said, we got to have a talk with him. We got to tell him about being careful, because we know that he would never, at least based on anything we've seen, we know that he would never do anything to anybody, but it's like, we got to warn him, because somebody might do something to him, because now the predator has become the prey, right? Or whatever, however you want to look at it, right? Or the prey has become the predator in some cases, right? And so ultimately, the Me Too movement, by becoming a witch hunt and expanding into all these spaces that it really didn't belong, like even Title IX, I've seen professors accused of like saying things that made a female student uncomfortable. I knew a guy that this happened to, and they went to him and they said, we have a complaint from a female student that you were engaged in misconduct. And he was like, what are you talking about? I don't sleep with any students. I never had any sexual. They said, no, it's not that, but there was a complaint, and because of Title IX, they have to investigate and all this other stuff. And he said, well, what was the complaint? They said, well, we can't tell you because of Title IX. And he's like, so you're telling me that I'm accused of something I don't know what I'm accused of? They're like, yeah, we can't tell you. And then he was like, well, who is it? Like, do I need to give my side of the story? I'm sure there's an explanation of this. And they said, no, we can't tell you who it is. So he said, you mean I can't face my accuser? I thought I had the right to face my accuser. And they were like, well, this is not the court of law. You don't have the same legal rights you have in court, when on your job. So he had this dark cloud over his head of being accused of misconduct, when really it turned out that it was a disgruntled white girl who got a bad grade in his class, who was upset because he made a joke about like something like some pregnancy joke, and it wasn't even that funny. It wasn't even that offensive, right? But literally that lumped him in with sexual misconduct, like sexual harassment, like all these ugly terms that labeled him in a negative way. So now the Me Too movement has unfortunately died under the weight of its own bullshit. Like I think it's over time, it's going to die under the weight of its own ridiculousness, where you can't have a world where you truly believe that men are guilty because they agreed to have sex with a woman, that they work with. Like that's insanity. If you are at a job and you are a powerful man and you're wealthy, women are going to approach you. And the fact that you act like at the end of the day, the woman is always the victim and can never be the perpetrator is crazy. I mean, tell me, how many times you've seen the Me Too movement, you've seen people get destroyed and taken down and all that stuff. I want to ask you, how many times have you seen in the media a woman taken down by the Me Too movement? How many times have you seen a story of a woman who was sleeping with a guy on the job, and they said, you're a predator, you abused your power, you are a you are as bad as a rapist, your misconduct is unbelievable, and you need to be taken down from your position as manager or vice president or CEO. Never, right? It never happens. Right. So really what you're seeing with the Me Too, unfortunately, is you're seeing the results of a white gender war, White women and white men have been going at it for the longest. And it's really like almost like a temper tantrum kind of fight. It's like a fight between like a teenage daughter and her dad. She wants her dad's money and her dad spoils her, but she hates her dad because she just wants to hate her dad because she just didn't get everything she wanted. And what the white female, not all white females fit into this category, but as a collective, white females are the most protected class of people in society. Studies show that if a black man and a white woman commit the same crime, the black man is far more likely to get prison than the white woman. If a black man and a white woman, break the law in the same way, the black man's going to get a much longer sentence than the white woman, right? Or more likely to be punished, right? Or if a white woman is a victim of a crime, then the attention paid to that crime is going to be much greater than if it's like a black woman, black man, et cetera, or even a white man. And so, in fact, I remember when my homeboy, Greg Wilkins, back in Louisville, Kentucky, got shot and killed in 1996. Somebody, some thug ass son of a bitch came up in his house in front of his 3-year-old daughter, shot him in the head, and he died, right? And I was devastated. He was my boy, best friend ever. Still think about him all the time. And anyway, when my friend Greg died, the local news, they put his death like in the newspaper, in the back of the newspaper at the very bottom where you could hardly see it. Because at the same time, a white woman got killed. There was a white woman from the suburbs who was a bank executive who got murdered on her way to work. And so her death was the lead story on the news for the entire week. It was the headline of every newspaper in town. They held candlelight vigils, the entire city did. They had a $25,000 reward to find the killer. And they spent the whole week talking about how devastated her children would be, because they don't have their mother anymore. But my friend Greg, I talk to his daughter, Jasmine, every now and then, and I check on her. He's my homeboy. I feel like her substitute, one of her substitute dads, like a guardian angel, like I'm supposed to help look out for her. And I know that to this day, 20 something years later, she's still affected by the fact that she lost her father. And she's probably affected on a deep subconscious traumatic level because she was there when her daddy got shot in the head. She was there. I don't think she remembers it because she was 2 or 3, but she was right there, And so, that's an example of the contrast in terms of how the white female is perceived and protected versus, say, the black male or really anybody else in society. So long story short, I think I see the Me Too movement as like this crazy gender war where they'll do things like make movies where they'll fantasize about a world with no men. Like, you ever watch Wonder Woman, the Wonder Woman movie? It was a really good movie. But did you notice how they had this island with nothing but women and the women did everything, like including procreate? Like they're like, we don't even want men. We don't even want their dicks. We just want to strap on some penises onto women and just make our own babies. Like, we don't want, like, men are a nuisance in every way. Men are inferior in every way. Men are ridiculous in every way. We can't stand them. We do not want them around. And then there was another one I saw on HBO that was really fascinating where they had, it was a Western. Go find it. I forgot. It was HBO or Netflix. And they literally had a town that was all women. Nothing but women lived there. Again, I don't know how they make babies. Like, somehow the babies just come, but I guess they figure out the fine print later on. But you're violating like 1 billion years of biology and evolution. But okay, you're white. I guess that makes you think you can do anything. So, but yeah, so these men, these big, aggressive, abusive men, decide they want to come in to the town and take it over and dominate the women and abuse them, because that's what men do with our toxic masculinity. And they kill all the men. Like, they literally pull out their guns and they kill all the men, And so they're loaded with their gun and their strap on, and they're like, we're gonna take them out, And so I think that's kind of a European kind of line of thought. With black women, I don't see that. Like, most black women I know who are decent, normal, regular people who treat people well, they love their men. Black women really love black men. And even when we don't deserve the love that they're giving us, I will be the first to admit that sometimes, we've been trained to come up short for the women, and some women come up short for men too. So this ain't just a male bashing thing at all. We're not going to do that. But I feel loved and respected by black women. I feel like, as we get a margin of error. Look, as long as you act right, And as long as you, you're decent as a human being and you fulfill your role as a man, whatever that may be, most Black women are gonna treat you well. They're gonna be cool and responsive with you. And I don't see that so much in white society. In white society, I see a gender war where men can do no right. There's some situations where men can do no wrong, but but those situations men can do no right. Doesn't matter. You're paying all the bills. The white man don't went out and made $1 million for or whatever, and she's still complaining about something. Like she's still mad about something, and I think that's kind of a problem. So anyway, so the Me Too movement kind of went into that gender war space. And I don't know if what's her name? Tara Burke, the Black woman who started Me Too, was really looking for that. And I feel bad for her because I think that she did it for good reason. She did it because I think she did it for Black girls who really truly are victims of sexual assault. All these little girls that are victimized by the R. Kellys of the world, and even some of the Bill Cosby types, because I do believe Bill Cosby committed some crimes. I just don't think he should have went to prison because there was no evidence. You can't not report crimes and then act like you reported them. That's a white woman privilege. But anyway, she created this for them, for the little girls that get molested and nobody knows about it, stuff like that. And that makes sense. But then, the white women kind of co-opted it and turned it into this political toy, like a political weapon. Like, we're going to use this to destroy men where they stand. And I think the Democrats are going to lose off of this because I think a lot of men are afraid to support the Democrats because they don't want to support Me Too. Every man who has a working penis, who would be willing to use that penis on a woman that he works with at his job. And think about this, you spend more time at your job than anywhere else. So that's who you're going to be mating with a lot of times, is the people that you work with. Any man with a working penis who's willing to use that penis on a woman that is at his job is in jeopardy, period. Every man. It doesn't matter. You literally could do nothing wrong. She could hit on you and initiate everything. And what I tell men is you got to document that, get all the text messages, get all the records, whatever confirmation you could get to prove that you didn't do anything untoward, in that situation. But the problem is, even if you do all that, you're still at risk of at least losing your career and your reputation, and maybe even going to prison. Why do I say that? Well, because the way they've shaped the language is it doesn't matter if she approached you, you're still the bad guy. It doesn't matter if you both agreed to sleep together, you could still be the bad guy. Why? Well, because you are using your power to allegedly to manipulate her feeble little mind into having sex. Like she has no ability to make decisions on her own as an adult, right? So if she chooses to sleep with you, or because she's horny, or or she wants to ask you out on a date, or if she gets drunk and y'all both get drunk and you both have sex, doesn't matter. You can still be defined to be whatever she wants you to be after the fact, because the power of the white woman mixed with the complexities of modern feminism kind of creates a narrative where it's like, when it's convenient, then she's in this independent, strong creature who's capable of making her own decisions. But when it's inconvenient to be independent, strong, and capable, she suddenly morphs into this feeble little imbecile that isn't even able to decide who she wants to have sex with, right? So she can come back and say, well, he was the big, powerful manager, and I was afraid, I was nervous that if I didn't accept his sexual advances, I was not going to get the promotion. And later on, when I didn't get the promotion, I knew it was because we weren't having sex anymore, right? Like literally, you shift all that power over. So the Me Too movement, unfortunately, I think, thank God, we have a society that's like not entirely crazy. And there are people that are pushing back against that, including even many liberals, many feminists are now saying, like, this isn't cool. Like, you can't have women presented to the world as these ridiculously idiotic cupcakes who are incapable of making their own decisions. There has to be some responsibility on behalf of both parties if it was a consensual interaction. So anyway, the number one of the top people that I believe should literally be shaken in his boots when it came to the Me Too movement is Bill Clinton. Why is that? Well, because if you're really going to talk about somebody who may have abused their power to get sex, Bill Clinton is a perfect candidate. I mean, when he was governor, this man was getting ass from everywhere. There's still that little black boy. Y'all seen that little biracial boy that's going around the world doing everything he can to get Bill Clinton to take a DNA test because he says his mama was a black prostitute in Arkansas back when Bill was governor, and he got her pregnant, and they moved them away to Australia so nobody would know who they are. I don't know. I mean, again, maybe it's false. I don't know. But I've seen it a lot. You know what I'm talking about? Like this kid in the picture I saw, I said, my God, he looks just like him. And the kid is like, look, if you don't want, if you want to prove that you're not my dad, then just take the DNA test. And you know what? Bill Clinton ain't taking that DNA test. Bill Clinton's like, no, I did not have relations with that woman. But I mean, Bill Clinton was having sex with somebody, a lot of somebodies, and so Bill Clinton is a perfect candidate for the Me Too thing. And I wouldn't even really object if somebody held him accountable for some of his behavior, because Bill Clinton did kind of go overboard a little bit, right? And in fact, he's been accused of rape, right, several times, and almost as many times as Donald Trump. They're kind of, again, these Democrats, Republicans, as human beings, they're kind of similar. They're all elite white people, pretty much. Elite white people. Sometimes they're elite where they went to Harvard and Yale or whatever and had millionaire friends at school. Sometimes they're elite like Donald Trump, where they made all this money in real estate and all this other stuff. But they're all kind of in that same space. They're pictures of Bill and Hillary and Trump and his wife hanging out together before they all got into, this political battle. So they asked Hillary Clinton about Monica Lewinsky. Monica Lewinsky was a case about 20 years ago where Bill Clinton was sleeping with his 22-year-old intern. And what's fascinating is that Hillary Clinton, kind of the lead liberal, the leader of, all the people that are pushing this Me Too movement. It's funny. She's 100% Me Too, 100% liberal, except for when it comes to her husband, Bill. When it comes to her husband, Bill, she's defended him in many occasions against women who were trying to hold him accountable. She's defended him, in a pretty ruthless way when it came to protecting him and making sure that he wasn't held accountable for his behavior. And so in the Root article, they said that Clinton clapped back at claims that her husband, former President Bill Clinton, abused his power by having an affair with intern Monica Lewinsky while in office. Clinton said it was not an abuse of power because Lewinsky was an adult. And also, she called into question the sexual harassment allegations made against President Donald Trump while talking with CBS on Sunday morning. The statement stirred up social media and Me Too founder Tarana Burke, who blasted Clinton. Quote, "When I think about the things that Hillary Clinton said about the Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton affair not being an abuse of power, that is just tragic and it's wrong," she said in an interview with The Root. Now, what's interesting about that is, again, I think that you can challenge Hillary Clinton about whether or not that was an abuse of power. I mean, my God, she was 24, you were 50 something and married, and you were the president of the United States. If there is such a thing as an abuse of power, that might be defined as it. But let's come back to the real world for a minute and talk about reality, shall we? Tell me, I want y'all to let's do a vote, and I need everybody to participate in terms of making a comment. You can give a thumbs up or a smiley face if you agree, or say no if you disagree. How many of you have ever known, and some of you might be that person, how many of you have ever known a 24-year-old woman who wouldn't gladly give some ass to a hot man who is twice her age, who happens to be a movie star, a billionaire, or the president of the fucking United States? How many of y'all don't know? And I want everybody to answer this question. If you please, everybody in here, I want everybody to respond. These are the real conversations that have to be had. People ain't having no real conversations. This is if you come to this channel, drboystv.com, we're gonna have real conversations because life is too short for bullshit. How many of you know at least one 24-year-old woman where if Barack Obama had showed up and said, "Hey girl, I love Michelle, but right now I really like you." How many of you know at least one 24-year-old woman who would not be ecstatic about going back to Barack's hotel room and getting it in and creating a story that they could retell for the next 30 years? Everybody answer. Stop it. Even if you disagree, so answer. That's just real. That's just real. And here's the thing. And Hillary made this point, and I agree with Hillary on this point. She said, they were both adults. They were both adults. And women, despite what some people might say, women are intelligent people capable of making their own decisions. So if an adult woman says, this guy is handsome, he's got swag, he's powerful, he's rich, and I want to sleep with him, since when does that make the man into a predator? I mean, seriously, if anybody was victimized, then the victimizer might be you. Maybe she victimized herself by falling for a man that she shouldn't have fell for, right? We do that. All of us do that. Like, I can think of times where I fell for a big butt and a smile and said, it wasn't really her fault that I was chasing her around and wanted to get with that girl, right? And, I could flip it and say, well, you waved your big booty in front of me and got my attention, and you should have hid that booty because you know that it would mess with my feeble little mind, and you abused the power of the booty and by getting me to do something that wasn't good for me, and now I feel like I was raped. Right? I mean, I could do that if I wanted to play the victim, right? Because I'm mad because she didn't give me what I wanted, right? But at the end of the day, if I'm really honest, like if I was really talking to my dad about it, my dad would be like, no, that was your decision. You're a grown ass man. You made the decision to get with that girl. Like, why are you getting mad at her because she don't want to be with you, or because she sees the relationship differently from you? It's her right to do what she wants to do, right? So really a lot of this idea, this myth that anytime a woman sleeps with a powerful man, it's because the powerful man's a predator. All that comes down to is, I think it comes down to this internal discord that's created by, Americanized white woman feminism, where one minute you want to be like a man, which I don't think is natural for women to just be men. I think women are women and men are men. But one minute you want to be a man and do everything men do and act like you do everything just like a man, you think like a man. But then the other minute you want to be a damsel in distress. You want to take the advantages of the old world and move them into the new world. But you can't do that in a world where you're claiming that you want true equality. If you want true equality across the board, that means true equality in terms of accountability. With power, I said equality. Sorry about that. I didn't mean equality. But, equality means accountability. So that means if you want the same power as men or whatever, then you also would have to take on the same responsibility. And the world that we live in is adult men who choose to sleep with adult women are held accountable as adults who made adult decisions. So if that happens to be a bad decision, you trust a big butt and a smile, and she divorces you and takes all your money, you can't say, well, she victimized me by seducing me with her sexy smile and her long, pretty legs and her boobs. She waved her boobs in front of me and it just frazzled my weak little, pathetic little mind. Like, you can't do that, but you will hear that. Like some people will paint it as like, oh, Bill Clinton just manipulated her and broke her down and made her weak. And I'm not saying that we don't have power over each other. I think men do have power over women in terms of, laying the charm on, and the ladies get swooned by that. They get swept off their feet. That's why fathers walk next to their pretty daughters with shotguns. Like don't you talk to that boy, because I ain't having him drop his little charm on you, the same charm that caused him to have 7 babies mamas. That guy with 7 babies mamas, there's a reason he's got 7 babies mamas, because there's something about him that pulls women in, right? The same thing is true with women. Like, a woman that is really in touch with her feminine side, that knows a woman's touch, can make a man do all kinds of stuff that nobody else in the world can do. The woman that I love could walk in here and tell me, Boyce, I need you to get down and give me 1,000 push-ups and give me every penny you have in your bank account. And if she smiled at me, I would probably be tempted to do it right then with no questions asked, because that's the power that she has with me, right? So at the end of the day, men and women both have power over each other, but we have more power to make our own decisions. And I don't understand why we can't see that to be the case when it comes to men and women choosing to have sex with each other in the workplace. If you want to talk about rape, yeah, that's a problem. You want to talk about serious harassment, yeah, that's a problem. If you want, but if you're talking about like two people that just choose to get together and you want to define that as some sort of abuse of power, I think that's a stretch. I don't think that's right. And I think, so I agree with Hillary on that. I think, she was an adult. Monica was, Bill was an adult. Everybody was an adult. They were just two adults who decided to get it in. And that's been happening since the beginning of time. The beginning of time. So no matter how much social engineering liberals want to do, that's what liberals want to do. Liberals love social engineering. What that means is that they love taking the world that's there, the natural world that God created, the world that we live in, and saying, we want the world to be like this. So we're going to program people's minds to make the world into what we believe it should be. For example, there are people who naturally feel that, open borders and letting illegal immigrants come in no matter what is a problem. We can't do that. Can't keep track of people. Can't, only have so many resources. Some people are not comfortable. I'm not comfortable with acting like illegal immigration is okay because you're violating federal law. I know people who violated federal law in the drug trade and they got 14 life sentences. So if Black people can't violate federal law and get away with it, I don't know why we're going to let immigrants violate federal law and get away with it. That's my opinion. But then there are liberals who are like, no, we want to create a world where you're labeled a racist if you don't agree that somebody, an illegal immigrant, can just violate federal law and pretend like they were legal all along. Like, oh, you're a racist, you're a racist, you're a racist. That's how they started labeling, Trump as a racist. And I'm not gonna say he's not. I mean, Trump has done a lot of disturbing things, but that all started with saying, well, he's against illegal immigration, therefore he's a racist, therefore he must hate Black people too. And I said, you're saying to me 2 + 2 + 2 is 187. That doesn't work. That retard math doesn't apply to me. I can't. I'm a mathematician. I know how to count. And so another thing that liberals do, maybe in terms of social engineering, is they are trying to tell everybody that that having two mommies or two daddies it should be exposed to children as being as natural and as normal as having a mother and a father. Now, it's one thing if you say that you should not attack or ridicule or disrespect people for having two mommies or two daddies. That's fine. I mean, that's true. You shouldn't. I don't believe anybody should bash gay people, attack them, or anything. There's probably gay people in here watching right now. But when you're sort of pushing this onto children, in such a way that it's almost like you're telling them that their own perception of a family structure is invalid and backward and primitive, but yet the white way of looking at the world is the right way. That the white way of looking at the world is the advanced way, that the white way of seeing the world is the progressive way, then that's a problem. That's called brainwashing. So, and it's no different. Hitler brainwashed people to get his agenda through. The liberals brainwashed people to get their agenda through. The Republicans brainwash people to get their agenda through. If you ever listen to, like, for example, conservatives talk who watch like Fox News and listen to conservative radio, you'll notice that they all say the same things. They all repeat the same talking points, right? They if one person's skeptical of something and they have an explanation, then they'll all kind of say the same thing and that's deliberate. The liberals do the exact same thing. The liberals are, I think, a little more aggressive in terms of their bullying tactics to force and oppress people into believing what they want them to believe and ridiculing them and suppressing their freedom of thought, freedom of speech. The liberals are the ones that I think are most guilty. And I have conservative friends and I have liberal friends. My liberal friends are the ones that give me the hardest time about everything that comes out of my mouth, whereas my conservative friends will just tell me they disagree with me, but they won't try to suppress my opinion, right? So I think that we're living in kind of an era of tyranny. Most of it's coming from the left, but then again, there's some disturbing things coming from the right. I, again, think for Black people, I think you can observe what's happening on the left and observe what's happening on the right. If you want to vote for the left, vote for the left. If you want to vote for the right, vote for the right. But after you finish voting, just come back to reality, realize that your votes probably don't mean a whole lot in this country because we don't live in a democracy. We live in an aristocracy. Rich people control this government. People from Harvard and Yale control this government. You don't control this government. Let's just be clear. Corporations control this government. So after you finish voting and it makes you feel good, come back to the Black community and let's say, let's talk about what we can do to make our community strong. That's what's going to make the difference for Black people, not whether a Democrat or Republicans in the White House. It really doesn't make a big difference for us. We're gonna struggle either way if we don't get our shit together. We've had a Black president, we were still struggling. We've had a white president, we were still struggling. We've had a Republican in office, we were struggling. We've had Democrats in office, we were still struggling. And the reason the struggle continues and the struggle remains consistent no matter who's in office is because that is not the factor that's going to make the difference in your life, right? So so let's keep that in mind as we move forward. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know tomorrow, if you're watching this late at night, if you're hanging with me late at night, tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, tomorrow is November 1st. Two events are happening tomorrow. If you are if you're an intelligent Black person and you want to grow, or even if you're not intelligent, if you just want to be intelligent. So you ain't got to be intelligent, but if you hang out with me, you're going to be smarter, because we're not into dumb stuff. At 2 p.m., Dr. Claude Anderson's coming through. We're going to talk about what Trump said about the 14th Amendment and citizenship and all that stuff. So that's 2 p.m. Eastern. It'll be at drboycetv.com. That's drboycetv.com. Also, at 8 p.m., I'm doing a lecture on making the transition to quitting your job and thinking like a boss as opposed to an employee. I put this lecture together because I noticed there are a lot of people who want to quit their jobs, but their mindset kind of holds them back. And the reason your mindset holds you back is because many of us, if you grew up in a family like mine, many of us grew up in a family where everybody would just go get a job. And you thought of wealth accumulation as just getting a job, when really wealth accumulation is much more, it's much broader than that. There are more options for you than that. And so what I found is that when people quit their job, sometimes that employee thinking still creeps in, and it holds you back. So what I want to do is teach you the techniques I learned in terms of how to manage your time like a boss, how to protect your time like a boss, how to protect your resources like a boss, how to delegate like a boss. All these things that are sort of CEO-based thinking that will position you for long-term opportunities and continuous expansion and scaling up. So if you're interested in that, the seminar, there are a couple ways you can join. There's a small fee of $49 to join the seminar, or you can just get in for free by doing a 30-day free trial on blackmoney103.com. So if you want to know more about the seminar, what it's about, what you're going to get, how it's going to work, go to drboyceseminars.com. That's drboyceseminars.com. So somebody please type that in. That's drboyceseminars.com, and that's what it's going to be. And I was going to cover something about Black media from Powernomics. I'll cover that probably tomorrow, because I've been talking long enough. So help us to build Black media. We're trying to build Black media. That's why we created the League of Intelligent Black People. Right now, what we do is we compare our numbers in terms of the reach that we have, the ability to spread messages in the Black community. We compare our numbers to the major media networks. So we noticed that, for example, MSNBC might get between 600,000 and 1 million viewers per night. Well, we're doing very well, because our two YouTube channels combined have about 340,000 subscribers, and we have another 300,000 subscribers via email and text and everything else. So we're trying to expand and really hit the Black community, because as Dr. Anderson talks about in Powernomics, the control of media by white folks is what makes it very difficult for you for us to talk to each other. And so from the very beginning, starting a decade ago, literally every single day for a decade, I've been working to build Black media, literally one subscriber at a time, et cetera. And now we're getting there. We can reach 1 million Black people a week. Our goal is within the next year and a half, I want to hit 1 million subscribers, which will make us into a media behemoth, but we really need your help. So a couple of things you can do to help us to create this Black media is, one, please share everything you see, every video, every talking points, start conversations. If you see hashtags that we use the hashtags. Share drboycetv.com. If you believe in what's happening here, if you think it's good for people, share it as much as possible, because we can use your help. Number two, we would love for you to join the League of Intelligent Black People and become a supporter of the channel, and we will give you something for your investment. It's not a charity, it's not a donation, it is an investment. And so the League of Intelligent Black People is what will be used to fund and fuel the growth of the media, the growth of the channel, the growth of our reach. And so if you're interested in being a part of that, go to intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. And that's it. So last but not least, hit that thumbs up button, share button, subscribe button, all that good stuff before you get out of here. And I'm about to go eat because I'm hungry. So you guys take care. Have a good day. And I shall see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.